Welcome to the cutting board. Today we're looking for a dish that is going to meet the season that we're in. It's autumn, it's starting to get cold, winter's coming on. We're looking for food that's not just really good for us, but that's going to keep us warm, that's going to be hearty. This will be really good for the season that we're in. So today we're going to be making a special soup.
I'm here with Marlene Balbeck, and Marlene has promised to fulfill those three key things that I'm looking for. A soup which is hearty, which is wholesome, and which is gonna fill us up with something that's good and warm on a day like today. So Marlene, thank you so much for having us in your home, and what is this recipe and where did you get it?
I discovered this recipe in Brazil on my honeymoon. So I was married in Canada. I'm not Brazilian, but my husband is. And so he took me to São Paulo, Brazil for our honeymoon. And while we were there, we went to some family and they made this incredible garbanzo soup that I had never had anything like it before. And you know, we're kind of a foodie family. And so I like to collect recipes, and I immediately went up to the lady, and I didn't speak Portuguese and she didn't speak English, but I had a translator, and she told me how it was, how to make the soup, and it was so easy and so good. But the thing is, when I came home, I had to kind of get that taste again, because sometimes you get a recipe and it's like, oh, that's easy, I can do that. But it wasn't quite like that, because I would throw in, oh, a little more of this or a little more of that, or I'd throw in another vegetable, and it just destroyed it. It took me years to figure out that you have to stay within a certain realm for this recipe. Like, for instance, if you add a starchy vegetable to this soup, it kills the umami of the garbanzo
What's
bean.
the umami?
Umami is, you know, we have different kinds of flavors that are tongue taste, the bitter, the sweet, the salty, and the sour. Well, the umami is that MSG.
MSG, okay.
Okay? It's when you taste something and you go, woo, this is good. Well, garbanzo beans naturally contain glutamine, glutamic acid in a natural state, not harmful for your body. And so that's what you're tasting, unless you destroy it with too much water or pasta in your soup.
Or any kind of starch.
Or starch, yeah, exactly. Okay. So it took me a while to figure that out, but now I have the taste that I had in Brazil.
All right.
And so I'm going to share that with you today.
Step
and I'm excited.
Number one.
Yes. So first thing we're going to do, you can use canned beans in this recipe, but definitely you're going to get more umami if you do it from scratch. So here I have chickpeas or garbanzo beans, and it's an interesting name. In most of the different languages it's called chickpeas, and it's because they have little beaks on them like little chicks when they come out of the shell. So they're very versatile. You can do a lot of things with them. We're making soup with them today, but we soak them overnight. These beans take a long time to cook. Okay. I mean, they would take all day to cook in a pot. So we soak them overnight, and they double in size, which is what I did here. So we get 2 cups of garbanzo beans, put them in a really big bowl, because they're gonna double in size, and they need to have enough water on top of them so that none of them, as they're expanding, will be sitting above the water in the morning when you check on them.
All right.
Okay? So let's pretend this is early morning.
All right.
And we're going to cook them in a pressure cooker, because even when they're soaked, they take about 2 or 3 hours to cook. So we're gonna rinse these off. This is the soaking water, and you'll see they have doubled in size, okay?
That's right.
Yeah. And so we soak 2 cups and we get 4 cups out of it, right? And so I'm gonna throw this water away, because we want to get rid of some of the gassiness of beans. So when you soak beans, you help to get rid of the saccharides that create a lot of the gassiness of
the
beans.
Unpleasant part of it.
Yes, yeah. The musical part.
The musical part.
Of the bean. Okay, so I'm going to put them in a pressure cooker.
I guess it's, you know, we could be kind of afraid to use a pressure cooker. So why the pressure cooker again? And is it really scary to use the pressure cooker?
It's not, but if you don't know about pressure cookers, it can be scary. I have met people that refuse to use a pressure cooker because they think it's going to explode and, you know, put a hole in their ceiling or something. But this is a stainless steel pressure cooker, and I like stainless steel because the other option is aluminum, and there's a connection with aluminum and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. So I use stainless steel. And there are so many safety valves on here. One of the things you want to be careful of is when you're cooking beans in a pressure cooker, sometimes the bubbles that come up can actually plug the steam valve. And so that will build up more pressure than you want. So you just put a few drops of oil in when you cook the beans, and it eliminates the bubbles. So let's put some water in here. And again, we're going to need to cover the beans. They've been soaked, so they're not going to absorb more water. The only water that we're going to lose is through the steam. So you want to cover them about half an inch.
Okay.
So you can see that, so that we have a strong bean juice for our soup. That's where that incredible flavor is, that umami, yeah. And now I'm just going to put a couple of drops of olive oil in to our beans.
Perfect.
All you need is 2 or 3 drops, just to prevent the bubbles from plugging.
This is not for flavor. This is for the technical aspect of cooking garbanzos.
Yes, exactly. And there are different systems, but all of them are quite safe. All the pressure cookers. Once you put the lid on, you have to get it to snap in place, and then you close this valve and you open up, you close both valves and turn it on high, and once it gets to a boil, it's going to take about 25 minutes for the garbanzos to cook, and then during this time we can also make the other part of the soup.
All right, so we're going to let this cook and we're going to start working on our next section. So we know that we're getting flavor from the garbanzo beans, but we've also got all these ingredients here that I'm assuming are going to build more flavor into the soup. So
absolutely.
I see celery, I see carrots, garlic, onion, there's parsley over here, salt, bay leaves, and which kind of peppers are these?
Serrano peppers.
Serrano peppers.
But you don't have to use serrano, but I really like them. They give a nice flavor. You can also use cayenne. You can use red pepper flakes. Any of those work.
All right, perfect. So what are we going to do with these? How are we going to build flavor from
Okay,
these?
let's do it. We're going to get our pot. Now we're getting a bigger pot because everything is going to end up in here in the end. Those garbanzo beans that are cooking, they're going to end up in here too later. So we're making like a broth with the vegetables and everything. Get all that flavor just right, okay? First thing I'm going to do is take these onions that are cut up. Here we have 2 cups of onions. And we're going to put a little bit of water. I like to water saute first. It speeds up the process. And I'm rinsing my onion bowl with it. So I just put a couple spoons of water in with my onion.
Why would you do that first?
Okay, the reason I like to saute with onion first is because the longer you expose oil to heat, the more free radical damage you get to the oil.
Okay.
But there's something about the oil, when it hits the garlic and the onion, it releases flavor. So I want that, but I don't want to have a long heating process for the oil. So we're just doing the onion and the water right now, and that's going to take just a few minutes to sizzle, and they become translucent, and then it's time to add the garlic and the oil. So we're going to just do that in a few minutes.
So these are part of the actual food. We're going to eat this. They're not just for flavor. We're not taking these and throwing them in there.
No.
So what are we doing with these?
Okay, we're going to chop them up. And so we're going to take some celery, about 5 of them. There's smaller and bigger ones here. And I just want to share, through the years, you know, you just kind of learn how to do things fast. And I sometimes see people taking a long time doing something that might be done very quickly. And I want to share this because if you can cut faster, you're going to be encouraged to cook for your family every day, hopefully, or every other day, something like that. I'm a strong believer in that. If you cook or your family cooks for itself, then we're going to have better quality food because you're actually thinking about the ingredients you put into your food. So when I cut celery, I usually don't just cut celery for today's dish. I'll cut a whole bunch. I'll just take a whole stalk of celery and I will cut the whole thing up, or even 2, and I'll put some in the refrigerator in a container and use what I need to. But while we're cutting, we're going to check on our onions over here. Okay, do you see how they're starting to sizzle? Okay, but they're not translucent yet, so we're going to let them keep going. And they're still on high.
They're still
Depending on what kind of a pot you have, you might have to do high. And you know what? Our beeper went off for our garbanzo beans.
So they're ready to go.
Let's turn the garbanzos off, and we're just going to let them depressurize by themselves while we do the rest, okay?
All right.
So we're just going to cut all this celery here. And you see, you can cut more than one stalk at a time, and that's just what I want your take-home message to be. Train yourself to be able to cut more, and you might, I'm not the fastest chopper in the world, okay? But we want to do everything as efficiently as possible. Then you won't be so discouraged. And always have some chopped stuff in your refrigerator. Even your kids can then quickly make a stir-fried rice with a little leftover rice, you know, because this goes in stir-fried rice, it goes in soups, it goes in stews, it goes in sauces. So, but I'm going to use all of it.
For something that's so simple, it's actually very full of flavor, which
It
is the
is.
main reason that you're putting it in here.
You know, David, celery is in every soup I make, I think. Well, there's some tofu, miso soups and stuff that I don't necessarily put in. But basically, celery is going to be in pretty much every soup, okay?
So we can put those in here.
Yes, we're going to put the celery in here. Now we're going to work on the carrots. So why don't you give me 4 of those carrots? Now, it's not so important. Everybody just please realize, oh no, I just have 3 onions in my, 3 carrots in my refrigerator. No problem. Use 3. You know, if somebody is showing up in last minute, you know, you find out one of your kids' friends is coming over, put an extra piece of celery or carrot or whatever in it. It's not going to change it so much, okay? So now we're going to cut the carrots up, okay? Do the same thing, many at once rather than 1 carrot at a time. And our onions, David, you think they might be ready?
Let's go ahead and check on those.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting, yeah, they're ready.
They're
getting
translucent?
translucent.
Good. Okay. And we're going to add some garlic to that. And then we're going to add these veggies in just a second. We're almost done here.
Are these ready for the garlic then?
Yes, they are.
And how much garlic would you put in there?
Oh, let's give it a couple of these little spoons here.
2?
Yeah, not mounded, but
Like
yeah.
this?
Yes, very
All
good.
right.
Good, good, good. You're going to be able to make this soup tomorrow morning for your wife.
I will.
She'll be pretty happy.
Maybe not in the morning.
Well, the reason I said in the morning is because tonight you've got to soak those garbanzo beans.
Oh, that's right.
Then you got to pressure cook them first thing when you wake up. Turn on your timer. And then by the time, you know, work starts, everything will be done.
We'll have the soup ready.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to let the garlic sizzle for a moment here. And this is a good time to get a serrano.
And we still haven't added any oil to this dish.
It's a good time to add it. There was, oh, let me talk about my garlic. I also do garlic in production style. I'll peel a couple heads, chop them up, put it in with some olive oil, and that way, every time I need some garlic, it's ready in my little jar in the refrigerator. So there's already some oil.
How long could it stay? Like if you prep some, how long?
A month?
A month?
No problem. It's
All
in
right.
olive oil, 2 months. It's not going to go bad.
All right,
Because
perfect.
it's covered with olive oil. So now let's put a little bit more of the olive oil from the bottle.
All right.
Go for it.
How much?
Let's see, about 2 tablespoons. What's going to happen when we let the carrots hit the hot onion and garlic and olive oil now? The carrots are going to release color. And you need the hot oil to do that. And you also need the hot oil for the garlic flavor to just go wow, okay? So you could make this soup without any oil. So for your oil-free chefs out there, you can do this all with water sauté. If you want that special that the olive oil and garlic add, then just put a little bit in. Okay, we're going to let it just get golden here. Just about a minute or 2 more. But in the meantime, I'm going to pick one of my serrano peppers. And do we want it really spicy? Nah, just a tiny bit, just to pick up the flavor.
So what would be the difference if you used jalapeno pepper?
It doesn't give the same flavor. Jalapeno pepper is different in flavor. But you could use just a little tiny bit just to pick up the other flavors.
But the serrano is going to be richer in this dish.
Yes.
Okay.
When they're beans, serrano's fabulous. Also, cayenne is good, or red pepper flakes. And because I don't want somebody to just really bite into a big chunk of serrano, I'm going to slice them really fine. Or you could even shred them with a little shredder. And we're just going to put a little bit in.
And here you're not going to remove the seeds.
No, why should I?
All right.
No problem. And they add a little bit more zip to it too. The seeds are a little more zippy even. So.
All right, so now just that little amount is sufficient for this.
Yeah, it'll just pick up the flavor. If you like your food a little bit spicy, like where it really bites, then you want to put more.
You'll put more in.
But this will be good.
All right.
Okay.
So keep mixing here.
Yep.
We can hear that sizzle as
Yeah.
it's going on.
Okay.
And definitely smell the garlic already.
Yes. Now, if you put your nose in there for too long, you're going to sneeze from the hot pepper.
So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then once this is getting browned up, you said?
Yes, then we're going to add the veggies.
Then we're going to add those.
Okay, our onions are just about done, but we're going to take care of the garbanzos now, okay?
Right.
So our timer went off, 25 minutes, and we just turned it off. But sometimes you're kind of in a hurry to make your beans or your soup, and the pressurized gadget, the button is still showing it's pressurized. You can take your pot to the sink and put cold water over it, and it'll depressurize really quickly, and it'll make a big noise. It'll go.
It's not going to blow up?
It's not going to blow up.
You know,
It's
I'm going to
actually
stand
doing
over
opposite.
here. I'm going to let you do that over there. I'm going to.
This one, unfortunately, has already depressurized, but this is
okay.
how it would, because it'll do it naturally when you just take it off the stove. Okay, it'll just take time. It takes about 7 minutes or so. So I'm just going to pour cold water on it, pretending that it's still pressurized. Okay, this is all you do, and it'll go. It's still depressurizing, so that's good. Okay. Good. So once the little button is down that shows it's pressurized, you can now open the lid. It won't let you open it before. So you open up all the little gadgets, turn it off, take off the lid.
And we got our garbanzos.
And we've got, see how they're all kind of split open? Mm-hmm. These are so creamy and soft. They're not like your canned garbanzo beans. Your canned garbanzo beans are kind of tough.
Yeah.
Okay? But these are just like buttery soft. They're amazing. So you're going to really notice a difference once you cook your own garbanzos. How's those onions coming along? Is there any golden
They
hue to
are
them?
starting to get gold
Okay.
on the bottom.
Good, good. That's what we want. Now I'm going to add the bay leaves and the salt to the garbanzos. Would you pass that to me?
All right.
I'm going to put, you can put 2 or 3 or 4 bay leaves. I really like bay leaf flavor. It actually, I'm going to share something with you. It actually mimics a little bit of chicken flavor for those who've ever tasted. I've never tasted chicken, but that's what they tell me. Okay?
Right. Now, one more thing about the basil. You're going to count how many you put in because you want to take them out, right?
No, I'm not going to take them out.
There you go.
Why take them out? People can fish them out of their dish.
All right.
Or as you're serving your soup, you know, because they actually, as they stay in the soup through the day and maybe you'll have some left over, it'll actually get even better.
All
The
right.
soup will actually taste better tomorrow than today.
One of those dishes.
Yes, it is. And I have 3 teaspoons of salt here. I'm going to put them in the garbanzo beans. And what's going to happen now, these are very hot, so when something's very hot and soft, it absorbs flavor quickly, okay? So we're going to leave it here until this is ready for the carrots. And I think we can put the carrots and the celery in now.
All
So
right.
you help me with that. Just dump them in there. And everything is still on high, but that's because I have a copper bottom pot, okay?
And if you didn't have a copper
If I
bottom
didn't,
pot?
this would be going much faster. I still can do it on high. Or if you're doing laundry and taking care of little kids, you might want to do this process a little slower. But I tend to do things on high, but watch it, you know. So here we go. We're going to put the lid on it, and it's going to steam in its own juices. All we have in there is the onion, the garlic, a little bit of oil, and the carrots and the celery. This is going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay? It's going to take 3 or 4 minutes because of my pot. It might take your pot only 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay? Just don't let it burn. Okay? And this pot over here, in the meantime, is absorbing flavor from the salt and from the bay leaf. Okay?
Let's wait for that.
I think our veggies are pretty good now. You see the carrots and they've been steaming a few minutes. So it's time to add some water. We're going to add 4 cups of water and bring that to a boil.
You haven't added the garbanzos though.
No, not yet. After the water comes to a boil, we'll let them boil for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then we're going to add the garbanzos. For right now, this is going to be
Why wouldn't you just add the garbanzos now?
Well, it's not hot enough right now. So the key is you want the garbanzos to stay really soft and buttery.
Okay.
And you know when you put something in cold water, what happens to it? It contracts.
Comes up.
Exactly. And so I want them to stay really buttery. Okay? So we're just going to let it come to a boil again.
When that comes to a boil, we'll come back and put everything together.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have our broth and vegetables boiling. As you can see in the pot, it smells pretty good when you take the lid off, doesn't it? So that's the carrots, the celery, the garlic, the bay leaf, the salt, and those, what kind of peppers were they again?
Serrano
peppers, yes. And our garbanzo beans are waiting to get in there. So we're just gonna dump them into there. And you better be careful not to get splattered.
All right.
Okay. Get every last one of those good garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you want to call it. Now this is the stage where you look, okay, do I need a little bit more water in here or is this pretty good? I think it looks pretty good. I like a hearty soup. If you water it down too much, you're going to water down that umami taste.
From the garbanzo beans.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to let it cook for another 15 minutes.
Now,
all the flavors to
Are you bringing
blend.
this back up to boil? Is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every time you add stuff, it's got to come back to a boil. Then we let it simmer for about 15 minutes till everything is soft. And then there'll be just one more touch ingredient, and then we're going to eat it. Does that sound good?
I'm ready to eat.
Yes, I'm getting hungry too, actually. Okay, guess what?
We're done?
Our soup is ready. Okay?
We're gonna eat.
We're gonna eat, yes, and there's one more seasoning. Not only is it seasoning, but it's gonna make it look good, and that's part of flavor and enjoyment too. So we're gonna add some chopped parsley. It's from my garden that I picked this morning. So just stir it up, and let's have your plate over here, David.
All right.
Okay. Have you ever had a garbanzo soup like this before?
This is gonna be my first one.
Well, let's see if he likes it. I think I'm going to have some too because we've been working in the kitchen for a while today, and with all this aroma, I am ready.
So it's amazing because it's got that one little bit of parsley makes it look so different than it did when it was in the pot.
Yes, color.
So we're going to enjoy this.
Yes, let's see if it turned out right.
You're right.
I think it turned out
I can
really
feel
good.
the heat from just those little bit of the serrano
But just a touch.
peppers.
Yes.
Perfect amount. And these garbanzo beans really are creamy.
Aren't they soft? They're so creamy. They're buttery. I love them.
We've got a dish which is full of flavor, very hearty, and is going to meet all those requirements of a winter day's meal.